I've I just to kind of give you a little bit of background about me. So I'm a co-founder at a startup called Leap Sheep. I'm based just north of Kirkland, and I've been working on this for eight years. Our core customers are startup founders, but the reason I'm presenting today is that I've been using Agile and Lean methodology within our company for the whole 8 years that we've been going, and I've started to use it in my personal life as well. So it's kind of like it's great in business, but it's also great in personal. And so I wanted to be able to share how I'm doing it, just in case it helps anyone else. So as you said, there's no selling here. It's just I've been part of this community for a few years, and I hope that there might be some things that you find helpful out of this, because it's completely revolutionized the way I've actually managed my private situation, my private life. Okay, I've got some slides just to go through so I can kind of show things, but I'll make it as interactive as possible. And there's kind of 2 or 3 elements where I'll just ask people's questions. And if you've got, I think I said at the very start, but for anyone who's joined afterward, if you've got pen and paper, then you can kind of follow along, and there'll be kind of 3 activities that I'll get you to write down. And then afterwards, I'll share a PDF of the slides. So if you want to go back and review anything, or if you want to use it, then I can share the actual templates in PowerPoint themselves. Okay, all right. Oh, and could you enable me to share my screen? Okay, all right. So I'll just share now.
You got it now?
Yep, got it. Okay, so you should be able to see if you can see the sheep, we're all good. Okay, all right. So yeah, so as I mentioned, it's just around if there's anything anyone can get from this around actually achieving goals, whether they're business goals or personal goals, then I'll be happy. All right, now, so when we work with startup founders, we typically work with founders who are interested to achieve kind of social and financial impact. And we typically work with technology startups that are looking to scale their idea. However, this works if you are a small business entrepreneur running your own business, whatever. And the whole point of what I'm about to talk about is, it's really all around helping you, if you like the sound of this, to achieve long-term goals, but then also know, from these kind of really big goals that might seem really far off, actually, what do you focus on next? So I'm just going to ask kind of a question, which, and again, feel free to share as much or as little as you like. But, for me, I know that this question made me really sit hard. Like, am I making the progress that I want to achieving goals, either in business or in life? And for me, like, I feel like I work really, really hard. And within our business, like, we've got really clear goals and setting goals. And then within my personal life, actually, there's things that I know I do really, really well, but I'm less good. I'm not great at managing my finances and like saving and investing. And that wasn't really a problem when I was in my 20s and in my 30s. But now that I'm in my 40s, it's something that I'm finding more and more problematic, because I don't feel like I've got a plan to get me from where I am now to, say, the next 20 years and then into retirement. So I guess I'm interested, and this will help me work out whether I focus on personal goals and how I've used it there, or business goals. So, has any of what I've said resonated with anybody, whether that's in business or in life or both? And if that's the case, what do you think might be stopping you?
That's a question.
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
go.
yeah, go for it.
So yes, and sometimes I'm not. Maybe I'm too ambitious with myself, too pushy with myself. But I think that there's 2 aspects, right? One is maybe I'm not focusing on the right things.
Mm.
The second thing is that not following through with the things, with the goals that I set myself. So there's those 2 aspects, right? And
Yep, yep. Anyone else? Anyone want to share? And you're welcome to type or talk. So not focusing on the right things and not following through.
I'll
Is
go.
that in life or work or both?
Sorry, are you ready for me to go,
Oh,
Sarah?
yeah, go for it, Sarah.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were talking to me. I think it's more for me, it's a case of my goals keep changing, I'm a bit sort of daily, like today, this is absolutely my goal, right? This is what I'm working towards. And then emotion sets in, and it's like I'm just more of an emotional person. Um, and then have a whole sort of, well, what is life about and what is it I'm trying to achieve? And, it's balancing the goals and trying to enjoy the moment because we're told all the time, now is the only time that you really know about. Sorry about my cat. Uh,
Oh,
meowing. I don't know
it's
if
a
you can.
benefit.
Here it is. Okay. So, oh, it's okay. So yeah, it's more that they change, and I think for me, life's a bit boring if it's like this is the goal and we just work towards that. It's like enjoying the moment but yeah, so I'm a bit wishy-washy with my goals, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's great. I'm also that's also a challenge for me. Like I always like to enjoy, like if the sun's shining, and I haven't got meetings, it's highly likely I'm going to try and be outside. Um, which is why it's nice to live somewhere where the weather's usually bad because then I can at least get stuff done. Yeah. Anyone else? Don't worry if not. Maybe just one. Valerie, you're off mute, so I'm feeling like you might want to say something. Is that true? Or you just happen to be off
Maybe
mute?
I'm thinking, I am making progress towards goals, though I'm not a particularly goal-oriented person. I'm more kind of a day-to-day person as opposed to a long-term vision person. But or maybe they're just so automatic for me that I don't have to do a lot of work to define them.
Mm,
But what stops me a lot is even to this day, after years and years of learning this lesson over and over, I think I have more time and more energy than I actually do. So I make plans as if I have, you know, 10 hours of like bright, perfectly focused energy in the day. And it turns out I have about three, you know. So yeah, being realistic about how things can get done is tricky.
yeah, I also suffer with that. I'm a really unrealistic time setter. So I'll be like, oh, I'm going to be finished today by like 8. And then it gets to 10 o'clock and I'm still not finished. And it's led to multiple arguments in my household. Um, okay, I'm just going to get a show of hands just so I know kind of if this is of what's of interest and kind of where everyone's knowledge is. Um, would this question, is this like, do people on the whole feel like they're making the progress that they want to kind of with their life or their business? Like, if you're like happy with where you're at and the progress that you're making, put your hand up. So Candice, you're a maybe, Valerie, a maybe. Okay, if you feel like you aren't making the progress that you want towards kind of either business or life goals, put your hand up. Yeah, okay. And then if it's in business, keep your hands up. If it's in life more generally, keep your hands up, whether that's like financial situation or like personal relationships, etc. Okay. All right. Okay. Good to know. Just gives me an idea of where to focus. Okay. I'm going to talk next about agile and lean as concepts, I think. Let me just check my slides. Yeah. So before I do, who's hand up if you're intricately familiar and would consider yourself an expert in agile? Yeah. Huber, yes. And Mark, yeah. How about in lean? Yeah. Mark and Huber a bit. Yeah. Who's never heard of agile? And who's never heard of lean? Yep. And who's kind of heard of them, might know a little bit about them, not really sure, somewhere in the middle. Okay, all right, fabulous. Okay, I've done this as so if you're an absolute expert in Agile and Lean, you're unlikely to learn anything new in this bit because I've tried to do it as kind of entry and beginner level. So I'm just going to very briefly explain the concepts in less than a minute, just enough to be able to keep going with where this is at. And I'm going to try and lower my hand on the screen. Okay. Okay. So there's a couple of core concepts about Agile and Lean that I just want to draw your attention to. So Agile is a methodology that's typically been thought about as a software development methodology, and it's based on the concept of having a 2-week sprint cycle. And a sprint is basically a period of time. 2 weeks just tends to be the industry standard, and it's certainly what we use at LeapSheep. And so the point of the sprint is that you've got these kind of a cycle where you can plan the work that you're doing at the start. Then during the 2 weeks you can do it and kind of, regularly like complete tasks, have like a reasonable amount of work that you can do in that 2 weeks. And then at the end you can review, like, were there things that you didn't get to, like what went well, what didn't go so well. And that's really the concept of Agile, and it's designed to give you, so if you think about kind of like historic organizations, they or kind of big organizations, particularly the ones I used to work at, we set our financial goals and our kind of goals for the year at the start of the year. Then we spent the whole year doing them, and then at the end we probably didn't really review them, we just reset goals for the next year. And Agile is designed to bring that into a much shorter cycle so that you can make kind of smaller bits of progress and then replan and reset kind of within the 2 weeks. And then lean methodology, this is based on the whole premise that there's a build, measure, learn cycle, and it's designed to get people thinking in terms of, right, what am I going to build? How am I going to measure it so that I know that it was successful? And then what can I learn so that I can replan? And so the two together go really well as a methodology to make sure that you're focused on the right things, and then you can do the things, measure kind of what impact or what progress you've made, and then learn and then replan. And so it's designed really to help avoid that really long time frame where you're planning, doing, and then learning at the end, to make that much, much shorter. And it's designed to help you, whether that's personally, like I've been using it, or professionally, to actually make better goals, kind of achieve them, and then keep moving forward. Okay. Has anyone got any questions? I've really bastardized Agile and Lean in the way I've described it, but it's just hopefully enough so that you can get a bit of an understanding of what we're about to do next. Did that make sense at a kind of a principle level? Yeah. Okay, fabulous. All right, now I've only shown 3 parts of this because this is some methodology that we use at LeapSheep, and I've just tried to make it so that it's useful enough for today. Now, at the very, very top is kind of your overall strategy. And this is really all around your vision. A mission is how you're going to achieve a vision. But at LeapSheep, we define a vision as how massive it is depends on how big you're thinking. But it's what is the impact that you want to have on society, the world, your own family, say 10 to 20 years from now, so that you've got like a North Star or a guiding star to aim for. So I'll tell you about our LeapSheep one, and then I'll tell you about my own personal one. So our vision at LeapSheep is to transform startup failure rates, which are currently 95%, and completely transform and flip those to become so that 95% of startups can be successful. So that's our massive vision. We may never achieve it, but it's something that's kind of worth all the blood, sweat, and tears that are involved in building a startup and struggling through the current time, because that is our big vision at the end. Now, my vision for my personal life is more around being able to have myself set up as a person so that I'm able to have a happy family life, be a good family member, to free up enough so that I'm a good person, so that I can contribute to this much bigger vision, which is what I'm doing at LeapSheep. So it's the impact that I plan to have. Like I'm certainly not thinking I'm going to be like Elon Musk in my personal vision, but I want to be able to make a positive impact on the world, and particularly for me, it's through helping other entrepreneurs and startups to be successful. Like that is my vision for myself. I don't want to be the star. I want to help other people to be really successful. And so that's that big North Star vision. Then underneath, you want to have, it's like, I can't achieve that tomorrow. Like I need to have something underneath it to help me to get to it. And these are goals with metrics so that you can track each of them. And so for the goals, so if you think about goals, it's really something that you can make progress on in the next, say, 2 to 3 months. And so those goals kind of 3 months apart, and we tend to have them between a financial goals. For business, customer or product goals, and then team building goals. And so having those 3 goals under those 3 banners means that you're likely to be, if you're thinking business, it means that you're likely to be thinking in a balanced way. One of the things that we typically find with startups is that they're only focused on their product. So they've got like a ton of product goals, like build an MVP, release an MVP, find customers, like it's all about the product. And actually it's like, well, you need to be thinking about how you're building out your team and how you're thinking about your finances. Like, are you trying to earn revenue? Are you trying to bootstrap? Do you need to have other ways of funding yourself? And so having financial, customer, and then team goals means that if you're building a business, you're doing it in a balanced way. For personal life, I like to have my goals split into financial goals and then like personal goals, so kind of relationships, there's all sorts of things built into those personal goals that are not financial, but having both means that I'm likely to build myself as a balanced person. Although, as I mentioned at the start, achieving financial goals is something that's it's an impediment for me. Like, it's not something I'm doing. Once you have those goals, you then want to be thinking, right, okay, what's the smallest amount of work that I can do to make progress against those most important goals? And how can I split those particular tasks into a couple, like 2 weeks worth of things, given the time that I have? And I'll show you kind of how I've done that in just a minute. So it's vision at the very top, which is your like North Star, what are you aiming for? Goals to help you to kind of make, say 3 months worth of goals that are achievable in 3 months, and then splitting them down into 2 weeks worth of tasks that fit into that sprint that I told you about just now. Okay, so as a structure, and I'm about to show you some examples, does that kind of make sense? Yeah. Does anyone think that they're doing that intuitively at the moment? Candice, you are. Huber, yeah. Mark, maybe. How's it going? Like, are you finding it an effective way of kind of managing like work/life? Candice, I'm going to pick on you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, but that's also part of what I do for a living. So if I'm not practicing it myself, then it doesn't work for my clients. So
are you doing it in your personal life and your business life?
oh, those are very intertwined, and yes. So yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. In that case, that you may or may not learn anything from them. So that's what I'm going to say next.
No.
But the templates might be helpful.
And yeah, I love templates, and I love knowing what people like to use and what works for people. So this is very nourishing. So worry not.
Okay, great. Mark, you kind of had your hand kind of up.
Yeah, so this is actually a good reminder for me, because I'm actually more on the DMAIC side, Sarah, to be completely honest. Like, I want to define, measure, analyze, and put it into control and understand, like, all my measurements. I want perfection, and lean is just good enough, and that's my fault. And so this is a fantastic reminder about like goal setting for me and what do I need to do. So I appreciate this, and I'm just taking notes and listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. Okay, now I'm going to show some examples. I've got 2 lots of examples, one for work and one for life. And so I'll show you them both. I've tried to simplify our work one, just because otherwise if you saw what we actually did, because we've got a team of 10, so showing you that would be like too much. But then I'm also going to show you in the time that we have. I'm also going to show you what I've done for my personal life, and I'll get you to, when you're looking at these, I'll get you to think which one is more important to me to then do when we've got, and I'm going to try and leave 25 minutes for the doing, so that you can kind of practice this and see how you go with just setting yourself up. I'll go through the business one first and then the personal one, and then we'll have time to kind of work on this with your pen and paper. All right, so I'm just showing you this for Leapsheep, and these are the templates that we use with founders. At some point, we're going to have this all built into software, and it's going to look really lovely. But for now, you can see our PowerPoint canvases. So our vision, as I mentioned with Leapsheep, is to transform startup success rates. So that's our kind of massive vision, which is 20 years. It could take us 20 years to do it. We may never be successful, but we're absolutely going to go all in to try and do it. Then so then for our goals, so I mentioned having a financial goals, customer goals, and employee or team goals. Again, for the purposes of now, I've just got one for each one to show you. We've got probably about 3 financial goals, 4 customer goals and then 3 employee goals, just so you know, behind the scenes. So for our financial goal, it's for us to increase, and I haven't included our data points because it's got, like, obviously kind of private information, but for us it's to be able to increase our revenue, to establish 12 months of runway so that we can build our software portal and become a software product rather than a services based model, which is what we look like at the moment. And so I've split out underneath 2 outputs. So outputs are the things that we've got control over because we can do them, we can act on them, they can get done. Metrics, we have no control over, but through completing the outputs effectively, we hope that we will impact the metrics. Okay, so for us, it's to publish an updated version of our revenue strategy because we're playing with our pricing at the moment to add some lower priced elements. We're publishing our next version of our pricing model and tactics. We're publishing our next version of our financial model, and we're publishing our next version of our sales deck. Like, we have these already, these are just the next iterations of them. And the ones that are underlined are what we're planning on doing in the 2-week sprint cycle, you know, that 2 weeks worth of tasks. Now for the metrics, we want to establish 12 months of runway. We want to have 10 sales meetings per month for the portal experience. Right now we have none because we're delivering a services-based model. And we want a 60% conversion rate from those sales meetings to sign up for our portal experience. Okay, so remember, outputs, no control over; metrics, we have no control over, but we're going to keep measuring our progress towards achieving them. I'll stop as well for any questions on any of those.
I guess I would say, Sarah, that your metrics, you could actually impact your 12 months of runway by, you know, managing.
Oh, I missed the last part of your question, Mark. Sorry, we can impact our metrics by what?
Sorry, the Zoom cut out on me. You can impact your metrics by managing your expenses and know that you have 12 months of runway or more based on what your expenses are. So I'd say control that.
Yeah, you are right. As I said, we've got a team of 10, and you're right, we could massively reduce our team. The reason why we're not doing that is because the people that we need to build the software are not the people that are currently delivering our services-based model. But you're right, that's absolutely what we could do. From the customer side, so just going on to the next goal. So our goal is to design the customer experience and the solution experience for our portal. And the difference for those is there's the solution, which is how somebody is using our how the solution can be used by a customer, and the whole customer experience includes the marketing and sales, like how a customer first finds out about us, how they go through our marketing and sales funnel to when they actually start using the portal, and then it also includes the end, which is, you know, how they get offboarded if they want to do that, or how they tell other people about us. So again, for here, the outputs would be our published customer experience journey map, identifying moments of delight and bugs just from that initial customer experience journey map, and updating our customer personas with anything that we need to do based on the portal experience. And then our metrics would be our net promoter score of 9 or above from testing, and then that 90% of customers our current customers want to move to the portal. So that's that for the goal and metric, and I'll just do the team ones and then any questions. And then for the employee side, for now we want to establish what marketing artifacts we need to actually start to build a pipeline for the portal. And so the things that we've identified are the wait list for on our website, so we don't currently have that. The marketing channels and funnels established, if they're different for the portal than they are for our current model, and then our metrics review established so that we are tracking metrics that are appropriate to the portal. And so for us, it's, you know, our core metric is we want to get to 100 new waitlist signups per week and 10 investor meetings per week with actual validation of the portal that we're anticipating. I've been a bit sloppy with that last metric, by the way, because that would be a time limited, like, month of actual investor meetings. Any questions on the goals and metrics side of things? Like, does that make sense of the concept? Valerie, you've got a question.
Yeah. Is it implied that these are all 3-month goals, that you have a time bound, you know, but these are all expected to be done 3 months from the date that this canvas is written?
Yeah, so great question. So we've picked 3 months for our goals, and again, some of them we're not going to achieve within 3 months. Some of them are going to take longer, and some of them are going to be shorter. And you'll see from the outputs, like it's not going to take us 3 months to do those things. That's probably going to be about a month's worth of activity. But as a general rule, we set goals that can be achieved within 3 months, and then at that 3 month, and again, you can choose. So we typically review our goals every 2 weeks. And often they don't change, but sometimes something else has come up and then we change a goal within that 3 months. If they don't change, then you need a formal review at that 3 month cycle. But you can choose what works for your business. For us, 3 months is a good amount of time at the highest level. And if we kept changing them all the time, then it would be kind of indicative that we had a bit of a company problem. Yes. Okay. All right, so then the last bit, which is the tasks. So within Agile, the kind of the formal word for actually kind of allocating tasks and then being able to give a brief update, whether it's just to yourself or if you've got a team, is to use a stand up. And a stand up is literally a really, really short period of time. If you have a team, a stand up is when you say, what you've done, what you're going to do, and highlighting any impediments or things that are getting in your way. And so I'm now going to show you what that stand up looks like as a team member. And so typically what you do, and you'll notice this from some of these underlined items, is that I've brought those into my stand up, and I use a stand up like a to-do list, but it's something that our whole team shares. We all use the same template so that we can do it in the same way. And I'll show you this now. And I'll do this as I would in a team stand up. So the items down the side, just so you know what they are. So we use 5 business areas to manage all of our activities. So this VD at the very top is value delivery. So this is when we're delivering services to a customer. S is for sales, M is for marketing, VC is for value creation, which is when we're building things that we can then launch and use in the rest of the business, whether we're using them for customers or for marketing or for sales. It's typically where things like templates are created, software is built, MVPs are built. All of that is a value creation activity. So you're building something to then operate in the rest of the business. And then BO is business operations, which is things like strategy, finance, HR, facilities, IT, all of that kind of stuff sits in there. Okay. So this is how a sprint stand-up would run. So, and I would do it. So I've booked 4 sales meetings within value creation and development. I've published the sales deck version 1, and I've completed a research report on the marketing channels that are going to be best for our portal strategy. I've also published version 1 of the revenue strategy. Today, I've got 4 sales meetings today and tomorrow. I'm then going to start defining the marketing channels from this research report that are for us, and specifically defining what version 1 of our marketing metrics are going to look like. I don't have any impediments. The priority items for the sprint I've already included, and at this stage I probably should have some kind of appreciations for other people in my team. I haven't included any on this template, but that's a bit of a gap. So you can see there, I just really quickly updated on the things that I've done and the things that I'm going to do. And if you work in a business, this kind of format is a great way to get the team caught up really, really fast on what everybody is doing and when. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, I'll just show you the slides that I've done for my own personal side, but I'm just going to flick through them really fast because these you'll see are more detailed. So this is my actual, this is what I'm actually using day to day. So this is my kind of personal vision, to be personally and financially content and enjoy life and family so that I can make a contribution to society. And I think I mentioned to you, like, it's specifically so I can help other entrepreneurs and startups be successful through my job. For my goals, you'll see here I've got some really specific goals, and a lot of them around financial goals and then personal goals, which is around and again, I won't go through the whole lot because there's a lot of them, but just so you really know, it's around quality family time, spending time at nurturing family and friendships, and then like removing clutter from my house to free me up. And you'll see at the bottom here, I've actually got these kind of short-term goals for the sprint for both financial and personal, so that I can take kind of a lot of this detail and turn it into smaller things. And then for my own personal stand up that I check probably twice a week, I've changed the elements. So I've got the finance one at the top, and as you can see, this is my biggest weakness. I haven't done anything on it here, it's empty. I've got travel, like my kids and my house, health, and then our dog. And so these are all the things that I've done. And then these are all the activities. And Huber, I think you told me something a few months ago, which I took, which was if you can do something straight away, rather than procrastinate and think on it and then never get it done, you should always do it straight away. But what I do is I then include it in the done list to give me a feeling and sense of progress. And so then so just to call out, and this is something that's a real issue for me, is that the finance ones almost never get into the done. They stay in the doing, and then I procrastinate over them and then never quite move them to the done. But by keeping them here, I'm always reminded of the fact that I need to do them. I've got impediments. So, my current working hours versus kind of hanging out with the kids continues to be a problem. Being able to sleep, like I have a fight or flight response that I keep on activating in the middle of the night. And then finding the right financial advisor is an impediment for me. And you can see I've used the exact same process that I did for the business, but here I've done it for my personal side, and it's just designed to help me get a handle and get on top of my personal side. Okay. All right.
Sarah,
Yes.
do you have a lot more slides to show, or
This is it.
are 15
This
minutes?
is it.
Okay. Do you want to
Yes.
wrap
Yeah.
up?
So now,
And
yes. So now, do I have time for everyone to have a go at this? Sorry, in my head I had till 10 o'clock for you guys to work on this.
yeah. We
Yeah,
can
okay.
still do something. Yeah. I just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that we make it interactive a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so so these are the kind of the three things, and we'll spend a few minutes on your vision. And again, I'd suggest picking one, either business or life. So if you want to start by just writing down your vision for the impact that you want to make, and then once you've got it, I'll get you to add it into the chat, or if you want to share it, you're welcome to.
Can I add something to what you showed? It's
Of course.
there is so it's an excellent framework. I love it because it's and while people please work on this, right? And while I'm talking, I'm just making time here. Okay. So it emphasizes action, right? It's let's what are we going to do right now, and what are the extent of the things that we can do instead of just getting paralyzed in the making. I hear this many times as well, where people are like, oh, when I get to this point, then I'm going to do that. And I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to go fishing? Just go fish,
Yeah.
throw a line in the water and, for 30 minutes and see what happens, and nothing's lost. But it's also the simplicity is always better than complicating ourselves. And we tend to go there, to go to the complicated things.
Yeah.
I really like this. I've been in corporate for 20 years, and you have all these complicated titles and things and whatever. And I really like this framework when you say you have 3 buckets, and it's get work, do work, and get paid. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything that it's out there falls into those 3 buckets, right? So it's kind of like if that's useful for someone to set up that framework where you showed, that we work on each of these areas, right? So we work in sales, right? But that's really get work, get things to do, get things to sell, right? And then you have okay, I have to build the things that have value, the value creation piece, So how do I balance my week, if possible, where I work on all those different things? So, but using that simple framework is good. The immediacy of the sprint is also awesome. One of the things that small organizations or young organizations lack is this cadence. And I'm a drummer. I don't know if you guys know this, but I think it was Stuart Copeland who said, a band is only as good as their drummer, right? If the drummer is bad, you know, the band falls apart, right? It may not be, you know, the one who brings up, you know, the makes it a really original band or whatever. But if the drummer doesn't know what it's doing, then the band is worth nothing, right? And it's this cadence, move forward, right? That weekly cadence that you have, or that 2-week sprint, that gives you that cadence. So I love it. All right.
No, great.
Anybody has something that they put in?
Yeah, I'll get to the vision. Anyone want to share their vision, their North Star?
I don't mind sharing.
Yeah, go for it, Sarah.
So mine is, I guess it's both personal and business, but my vision is to be financially free. What a great vision. A goal is to make $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And in the next 2 weeks, the progress I can make is actually finishing or addressing the work that I actually have, you know, the customers that I have at the moment, and getting their work out of the way, so I free up my time to then move on to creating my next customers.
Okay. All right. So you've done the vision part and then the goals part. With the vision element, because you've kind of said it's like, you know, you want to be financially free. So that what? Like, so that you can have more time to spend like enjoying life, so that you
Yes.
can,
So basically, so I can travel, I can send my kids to the colleges that they want to go. I can do all the creative processes that I love to practice, and that I can then support local artists, not necessarily local artists, but I would like to support artists in general by buying the work that I enjoy of theirs.
Oh, that's also something I'd like to do. Okay, yeah, great. Okay, anyone else want to share on the vision, and then we'll go on to the goals? Shamila, would you like to share? No, okay. Yeah.
I have, you know,
Yeah.
I used to say, I want to be able to work on interesting problems that matter with people that I love and who care, and in the process add as much value as possible for as many people as I can.
Yeah, that's great. That's not too dissimilar to mine. Yeah, really good. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next activity, which is the goals. Can I just do a quick hand check? So I'll share the examples here. Who's done this for financial? Sorry, who's done this for their business versus who's done this for their life? And if the two are together, that's fine too. Who's focused just on their business? Who's focused just on their personal life? Valerie, you have. And whose are intricately woven because you're entrepreneurs? Okay, all right. In that case, I'll probably I'm just trying to think. I'm going to share. I hadn't thought about that use case, and I wish I had, because obviously that's going to be what everyone's doing. I might share my personal one then. It is a bit detailed. So, because I'd say here, that's an interesting. No, do you know, I'm going to share the business one, because then you can always adjust it. Now, Sarah, you set out your goals, and the one that you were starting with was just a financial goal, which was just around, you know, getting more. I think it was getting more customers, and you said it was just the financial goal. I'd encourage you to think, and again, you're welcome to look at these goals. Like, what is it? There's the financial element, which is to increase revenue, but then what is it that you need to do on the customer or product side versus the employee or team? And that might just be you, but what are the goals across the three? Because like, if you see here, the employee goal and the team goal is all around establishing our marketing kind of capability, really. So it's building up expertise and experience in marketing, and that's all around. That has an impact on the financial goal, but it's worth thinking, like, are there new skills that you need to develop? Are there new kind of capabilities that you need to build within yourself or your business? The customer goal is, you know, what is there an improved customer experience that you want to be building, so that you're like meeting more people or providing more value to more people? And again, that obviously has an implicit link to the financial side, but it's worth thinking, what are the things that I need to focus on building for myself and my capability? What is it that I want to be building out for my customers to add more value to them? And of course, those may well impact on the financial goals. So I'd like everyone to just give a bit of time to these 3 goals, and kind of setting those. It will take more than the time that we have to establish the metrics, but perhaps just starting with the goals, and then I can share this PDF as well with everybody. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that.
I have a question. I don't want to interrupt people while they're thinking, but
Go for it.
I I I could be totally wrong on this, but my understanding of these 2 week sprint kind of thinking is that you've got people who are, I mean, this came out of software development, right? So there are people who I imagine, again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that's kind of like they've got a job and then they've just got to do it. Whereas I think there are maybe other jobs where people get maybe more stuff kind of coming at them,
Comes at them. Yep.
thrown at them. So they have maybe more what we call distractions or just variability, more volatility in their kind of day-to-day life.
Yep.
So I'm curious how, for those of us who aren't just like, all right, I'm going to focus on building out this procedure or this routine or this whatever in this little software piece that I
Yep.
can just put my head down and do it. For those of us, how do we do a 2 week sprint when our lives are more chaotic?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked that question. So, and again, I've oversimplified this. So when things come up or you're responding to things, you'd add it into the sprint stand-up because you want to get visibility either for yourself or for your team if you're working with a team on what those are. So like, for example, like, you know, I meet a load of people every 2 weeks, within the 2 weeks. I'll probably have 7 or 8 meetings that I hadn't planned, but they're either introductions or they're people who I've met at events. And so all of those would go into this marketing box. And so I'd document those and list them out because, of course, if things keep coming in and they're unplanned, then they might be unplanned and be a good use of your time. They might be unplanned and be a bad use of your time. And if they're not helping you achieve these goals, then you need to think to yourself, actually, if all of these things and distractions are coming in, are they distractions that are good and I should keep doing, or are they distractions that are bad? So, for example, like I regularly meet new founders, potential referral partners, just people who are interesting, and I do it because partly because I love meeting new people and I'm curious about who I might meet. But you want to think like, actually, and again, this here, if you're in a position where the only thing you need to do is increase revenue, for each time you meet a person that might be interesting, like, is it going to directly help me increase revenue by either being potentially a new customer or being a potential referral partner that I can build a relationship with? And if the answer, and you can then think about who you're meeting, because of course there will be people that you want to keep meeting, but sometimes you want to actually stop doing things if they're not helping you meet your goals. So for example, a founder that we were working with, he kept meeting investors and he kept on having kind of interesting first conversations that never went anywhere. And it was distracting him away from finding customers and finding people to start using his product. And so we said to him, you actually need to stop having these investor conversations because they're just wasting your time. They're getting you thinking you're going to raise capital when that you're not in a position to raise. So stop doing them. And so then he started, if anyone contacted him to meet, we said to him, look, send them a message and say, look, thanks so much for your interest. Let's touch base again in a couple of months because right now I'm focused on finding customers. And so the stand-up element here is really great for escalating busy work so that you can work out what's busy in a good way because it helps you achieve goals and what's busy in a bad way because it actually stops you from achieving goals. Oh, Candice, are you agreeing?
Oh yeah, no, I love meeting new people and getting lost in the brand new library of all of these interesting people that I meet every time. And I very much had to be like, oh no, I need to focus on getting clients instead of just meeting all these fantastic humans.
Yeah. Hopefully that's helped. But that was a really, Valerie, thank you so much for asking that question, because this is one thing we work with founders on all of the time, which is there's hundreds and hundreds of things that you could do, but actually what should you be working on to help you either achieve goals, well, really it's just to help you achieve your goals, because otherwise, like, there's so many distractions, and your time is limited. And there's also the other element which comes out from the stand up. If, say, for example, you're doing lots of manual tasks, and you're spending a ton of time doing manual activities that are not value adding, it comes out when you start doing this kind of, and again, we do it 3 times a week, not every day. And then you can start to look at it and go, oh my God, I'm doing all these things that are really manual and it's not a good use of my time. And then you've got a choice, which is, do I want to take on another person to do them? Can I automate them with software to free me up to do higher value things? And I've really not sold the value of stand up enough, because it escalates all of these types of things so that you can then make decisions about what to work on. An example for us is we've been using Trello as a CRM for a really long time, and we probably should have moved to an actual proper CRM a few years ago. But now that our sales funnel is increasing, the problems are compounding and it's wasting a lot of our team's resources. And so it's got to the stage now where one of our sprint goals is to research and identify a CRM so that we can move across to it to free up our time. Okay, I know I've only got a minute left. I think I was slightly optimistic about what we could achieve in that time, but I do think some of these conversations, I hope, particularly around busy work, Valerie, was a really good one to kind of make the point, which I hope might be the main thing you get out of today.
Awesome. This was